Hey, what's up? How's it going? So I started playing Kendama about a year ago and I went in totally blind. I just bought it because I thought it was cool and I worried about learning anything about it later. And I was pretty quick to see that some people, glued their spikes, and I started wondering, oh, am I supposed to glue my spike? What does the glue do? Etc, etc. So I hope I can answer all those questions for you and give you my recommendations and experiences with gluing my Kendama spike. So a couple things to get out of the way before we get into it. First off, these are totally my experiences and the things I've thought to do when it comes to gluing the spike. I've got pretty much 3 different options that I've tried and I've used and experienced that I'll take you through. I think the third option is the best one, but really this is more a pros and cons of all of your options, and then you can make that choice for you. Another note is that these are all going to be beechwood Kens. Beechwood's probably the softest wood used for, cheaper kendamas usually, and any wood that's harder than that, like something like maple, I don't find it is necessary to glue it at all. The maple seems to hold up. I mean, here's a picture of a maple Ken with like a lot of play on it, and you can see it's still pretty much sharp. So I really only recommend gluing beechwood Kens, and that's what all of these examples are going to be. As always, if there's like some other options that totally went over my head, let me know in the comments. Again, these are just my experiences and what I thought of, and I am by no means a super glue wizard. So to start it off, option number 1 is do nothing. You don't have to super glue your spike, and I'm sure most average players don't super glue their spike, and so it's definitely an option that we need to take a look at. So this is my Chrome Pop Kendama, which I think is a fantastic beginner Kendama, by the way, and yeah, I've played this about 6 months maybe, like pretty good play, and I'll give you some secondary shots of what the spike is looking like. Definitely has taken a heavy beating and is definitely flattened out a lot. Still, by no means is it like unusable, like very good for all kinds of tricks still, but it is important to note that if you take the route of not super gluing, it will take some good damage. I think another important thing to take a look at is the paint. Now this Chrome Pop has rubber paint, and you got to remember that whether you're super gluing your spike or leaving it, however your spike is, it's going to be jabbing into your paint on many occasions. So something like a rubber paint like this, or some other paints we'll take a look at in a minute, they're a lot more durable and more suitable to, play on a glued spike because they're not going to take as much damage. So if we look at this, even with a lot of heavy play, the dents are pretty minor in this paint, and the paint's holding up pretty well, and I think that is partially because the spike is not super glued. So if you love your paint, maybe you want to, sacrifice the shmush on your spike. And again, that pretty much sums up option 1. Do nothing and smush your spike, but keep your paint healthy. Option number 2, which I have recently bestowed upon this Kendama USA Kaizen, again beechwood, is like a viscous or more gel-like super glue. Viscous, if you haven't watched Bill Nye since elementary school, is just like a thicker liquid, not like water, more like syrup. And just to keep consistency, this has about 1 month of pretty average play on it. Now the key here is that a thicker, more viscous glue, like just a thick super glue or a gel, is really applying a protective layer rather than actually strengthening the wood. So hopefully you're able to see that, but basically applying this glue, I've had to apply it like many times because it creates like a shell and then it eventually like starts to crack and peel off. So it's not strengthening the wood per se, it's just giving it a barrier. So this is actually the glue here. It's a Gorilla super glue, and if you look in the bottle, I mean you can't see what I'm doing here, but it looks like as if it's pretty liquidy, but I read somewhere something that it's kind of infused with like rubber particles and things like that to make like, if you're actually bonding two things together, it makes it kind of more impact tough. But I don't think that's really a good thing when you want to glue your Kendama spike, because again, it's not strengthening just the wood itself, it's kind of just building a barrier. So I've had to reapply and then couple of these, and then it starts to crack off, and then apply it again, it starts to crack off. I mean, I've gotten it to a point where it's fine, like it's protecting the wood and keeping the spike sharp, as you can see, but it's not really ideal because you have to worry about the flaking and cracking and things like that. However, since it is that impact tough kind of, beatable material, it's not doing nearly as much damage to the paint as you can see. Again, this is Kendama USA Silk paint, which is similar to a rubber, but it's not taking nearly as much damage as we'll see the next option, a real liquid super glue, would do to this. That would have holes in the paint by now. So maybe this more viscous gel option is a good one because it gives you more customizability. You can put 10 coats, make it rock solid. It still probably chip off, or you can put 1 or 2 coats, reapply, and kind of figure it out on your own as you go. The third and final option is a pure liquid super glue. Now I don't have it on me, but I think I coated the spike of this Lotus Bloom in crazy glue, like crazy with a K, like that kangaroo book where everything was K. Anyways, you can see by this close-up here, the spike has basically become like a diamond rock spike. It is by no means coated in super glue, it's just as if the wood was turned into glass. And the spike is absolutely rock hard. I've only applied glue once, and again, this has about 4 months of like pretty average play, I'd say. And the spike shows no wear, no tear, no nothing. It is a solid rock spike. I think this is because I found when I was applying this liquid glue, it basically just soaked right into the wood. Now, I don't know if some spikes are, a little more porous, but they're all beechwood, so I think it's similar. These really liquidy glues just soak right in and harden like metal. Now, so this is going to indefinitely preserve your spike and keep it nice and spiky, but you are going to sacrifice a lot of damage to your paint. Now, this Lotus Bloom has a sticky paint, which is a little bit less durable than the rubber paints we saw on the previous two, and you can see basically every impact that this spike has made with this Tama. You can see a couple of chips have already started forming, and again, that's just because this spike is so hard that every impact is like a chisel. The more viscous gel glues, they'll provide a little more comfort for the Tama when you don't happen to hit that spike, but with this liquid glue there is absolutely no mercy. You've got a rock hard perfect spike, but if you miss, your paint is going to pay the price. So those are the 3 main options I've really experimented with when it comes to gluing, or I guess not gluing, your spike. And again, I tried to present the pros and cons. It really is up to you what you want to do. If I had to sum it up, I would say if you love the paint and the finish on your Tama, don't glue it. It's gonna destroy your spike, yes, but it's gonna preserve the paint really well, and it's still gonna be playable. A smushy spike is still playable. If you don't care about the finish on your Tama, maybe you replace them all the time, and you just want a perfectly preserved spike forever and ever, then I would go to the liquidiest, least viscous glue you can find, which will soak right into the spike and turn it into diamond. And if you're somewhere in the middle and you kind of want to experiment, go with one of these more gel-based, thicker liquid glues that you can kind of apply and then kind of file down or scrape off. It'll come off as you play, you can reapply, and it gives you kind of freedom to see, oh, is it destroying the spike like this? Maybe I should add more. Paint won't get super destroyed. And yeah, that's pretty much the 3 options. If you do want a solid spike with the liquid glue also, I would recommend rubber paints, or you're just seriously gonna destroy it with the spike. I do hope you enjoyed. I hope you stay tuned for some more Kendama stuff coming in the future. I really want to keep answering all these questions that I always had about Kendama. So let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to cover. Again, it's just based on my mild experiences, so maybe there's other options out there. Discuss it in the comments and let me know. I'm interested. Big thank you and farewell. I will see you in the next one.